Hi, everybody. My name is RLombardino, and this is Translation Confessional. Words I've learned from my husband. As I've mentioned in episode 6, when I talked about how I learned English, my husband told me I had a British accent when we first met almost 20 years ago. Even though I was already fluent in English and could carry on a conversation, there were many gaps in my knowledge that I was only able to fill after being in a relationship with someone who speaks my second language and subsequently moving to California when I lost my British accent. You can study a language forwards and backwards and have impeccable grammar, spelling, and punctuation skills. However, it's only when you have daily contact with your second language that you get to learn some little details, that particular vocabulary that wouldn't come to you as easily unless you really look for it. In one of our first dates, I should have paid him for a private conversational English class because I got to absorb so much vocabulary while we talked and learned more about each other. We were at a cafe in Brazil, and he ordered passion fruit juice. I knew what the fruit was since we tend to learn the vocabulary that surrounds us, right? And passion fruit is very popular in Brazil, so I knew how to say maracujá in English. Still, my knowledge gap in nuanced tastes would have made me describe passion fruit juice as bitter. When he mentioned he liked it because it was tart, I got what he was saying right away and made a mental note of it, tart. I also learned acidic when he mentioned he loves very strong lemonade. No water, no sugar. By the way, we still debate about lemons and limes to this day. Sometimes I slip up and call the green fruit a lemon because I've always known it as limão, so lime is not the first word that comes to mind when referring to it. I end up forgetting for a second that lemons are yellow in English, which in turn we know as lima in Brazil. We could also call them limão siciliano or Sicilian lemons, even though they're yellow and our limão in Brazil is green. Then there's this orange variety we call laranja lima, which is known simply as sweet orange in English. But I digress. Another culinary term I learned on that very same date was chicken fried steak. I must confess, I was very confused by that one. Is it chicken or is it steak? What the heck does that mean? We were talking about breaded steak. That is, you coat a thin steak in batter and then fry it. The fact that there's a hyphen between the words chicken and fried is what gave it away. So it's steak fried like chicken. In Portuguese, we refer to breaded steak or breaded chicken as a milanesa, that is, Milan style. You can find some references to beef Milanese or Milanese beef, but it's not as popular as the term chicken fried steak. If you ask a server at a restaurant whether they make beef Milanese, you'll most likely get a puzzled look. Now, if you mentioned chicken fried steak, odds are it will be on the menu, especially if they serve hearty breakfast items. By the way, in that same conversation, I learned the terms batter, breaded, and breadcrumbs. We traditionally don't use batter in Brazil because we usually have our chicken fillets or thin steaks coated in beaten eggs, then placed in farinha de rosca, which are the breadcrumbs I learned about, and then it is fried in a frying pan to get that crispy texture on the outside. I guess this ended up being a culinary episode, but I can assure you I've learned a variety of words from my husband, which I can cover in a future episode. But since we're talking about foods and drinks, do you have any stories about learning culinary terms while on vacation in a country where your second language is spoken, for example? I'd love to hear from people who have a little anecdote about it. Send me an email at rlombardino@wordawareness.com or leave a voice message on my Anchor page. If I get enough feedback and voice messages, I can go back to the subject and post a special podcast episode with everyone's opinion on this very same theme. By the way, my Anchor page is anchor.fm/translation-confessional. I look forward to hearing from you. Stay tuned for weekly episodes and subscribe to Translation Confessional through your favorite podcast app.